KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and on major social media sites. As always, I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 noon, right here on KSHP. Beat it!
The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the program's participants and do not necessarily reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
It's time for the most interactive radio program in Las Vegas today. It's time for Pushing the Limits with Brian Shapiro. Brian will talk sports, politics, entertainment, and anything that matters to you. Feel free to call Brian at 702-221-7283.
You want answers? I want the truth!
Now, Pushing the Limits, here's Brian Shapiro.
All right, what's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. You couldn't ask for a more busy news day, I'll tell you that. Thanks for joining the show, Pushing the Limits. And we got some great guests lined up for you. Yeah, we kind of have a lot going on. The former president of the United States expected to turn himself in to Fulton County today. He's going to get weighed. There's going to be a weigh-in, but it ain't a boxing fight, folks. He's going to get the mug shot and all that. This all happening while last night we had the first Republican debate, which we are going to get to. The former Nevada GOP chair, Amy Tarkanian, will join us at the bottom of the hour to share her perspectives on the winners and losers. And coming up in hour number 2, James Harden fined $100,000 for comments he made about Philadelphia 76ers general manager Daryl Morey. We'll talk a little USA basketball. The 11-year NBA veteran Paul Mokeski will be joining us in hour number 2. So we're jam-packed, and I'm going to be honest with you. I want to get right to it, and I want to talk about the debate last night. We'll get into Donald Trump. We'll get into the latest on the indictment. He's, again, expected to turn himself in. Some people might be a little surprised at my opinions on what took place last night. Let me get this out of the way first. Ron DeSantis is done. All he did was speak, memorize sentences. He's the one who brought up Hunter Biden. He brought up gender ideology again. He had no solutions to any of the problems faced in this country. He's a terrible debater. And I'm sorry, I'm just trying to be as non-biased as I can because I can't stand Mike Pence. I'm not even a big Nikki Haley fan, but I'm going to give them compliments here as we go on. I'm trying to be non-biased here. Ron DeSantis was terrible yesterday. He had just, again, memorized sentences and statements that he made. You can tell when somebody's speaking from the heart. Like Nikki Haley, I don't think much of anything she said yesterday, except maybe her closing remarks. I don't think anything Nikki Haley said yesterday wasn't on the cuff. It was. And everything Ron DeSantis said, he's like robotic. So I just want to start there. Ron DeSantis is never going to be the president of the United States. He was non-existent yesterday. I'm not going to talk about Tim Scott. He was non-existent yesterday. Hutchinson was non-existent yesterday. And I just want to be very clear on that. I want to be very clear, and we don't even have to talk about those candidates because it's almost like they weren't there. But I got to tell you, as far as my biggest winners and losers yesterday, I'm going to go through some audio cuts, and I'm going to explain why. But I thought Nikki Haley had the best performance of the night. I thought she was clear, concise. I thought she was fair. I think she didn't just speak to Republicans, but she spoke to Democrats, and she spoke to independents, and especially in regards to the abortion issue. I disagree with her. I know she calls herself a pro-lifer. I know they all do. But she was reasonable, and she was fair, and she was factual, and she called out Republicans when she had to, and I thought she was absolutely, bar none, the best on the stage. And if Republicans had any intelligence, which I think many of them these days don't, Nikki Haley would be your front runner, and she would defeat Joe Biden. I actually believe Nikki Haley would have the best chance of anybody on that stage to defeat Joe Biden. I really feel that way. I really do. I absolutely feel that way. And you know, if you disagree with me, that's fine. We're going to play some audio cuts, and I'm going to talk to you about that. I want to start with Vivek Ramaswamy, though. I want to start with him because the first thing I want to bring up is Ramaswamy, and not a lot of people are talking about this on social media. Not a lot of people are talking about this. But let's be very clear here. Ramaswamy stole part of Barack Obama's speech. And I'm going to prove it for you right now. Ramaswamy is a liar, and he's a cheat. And I want to play you a little bit of audio to start. This is proof that Ramaswamy stole some of what Barack Obama said years back. Have a listen to this.
So first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage? I'll tell you, I'm not a politician.
Of a mill worker's son who dares to defy the odds. The hope of a skinny kid with a funny name who believes that America has a place for him too.
Ramaswamy is a liar. And he's a cheat. He took parts of Barack Obama's speech. The skinny kid with a weird last name, that's not something that you just say that you make up yourself. He took that from Barack Obama. And he was condescending, and he had that attitude that he was the smartest person on the stage, and nobody on the stage liked it. And they went after him. And Chris Christie was one of those people that called him out. Have a listen to this.
People are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Down by
Hold on.
90% in the last century.
Listen. Wait, hold on.
I've had enough already tonight of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Give me a hug, and you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
The
there.
same type of amateur.
Hold on.
All right, so I don't think Barack Obama is an amateur. I disagree with Chris Christie there. But the sentiment is true. Ramaswamy, who claims to be, based on his behavior, always the smartest person in the room, right? He stole part of Barack Obama's speech, skinny guy with a weird last name. That's not a coincidence. He stole that. Now, he'll deny it, but he's a liar. I want to go back to Nikki Haley. And yes, I do believe Nikki Haley is probably the only person on that stage that can defeat Donald Trump. Again, I thought she was very fair. She was honest. And this is so Republican when I bring this up. They were talking about the debt and the Biden administration, and just about every single candidate on that stage was blaming Democrats for the reason why we're in all this debt. And then Nikki Haley decided to give them a truth bomb. And I want you to listen to this because it's Nikki Haley speaking fact and truth, something that I think many in the Republican Party failed to do, although we did hear some truth yesterday, and I was impressed with that. This is right off the bat, I was impressed with Nikki Haley, because here she is calling out the Trump administration and calling out Republicans for their lies. Listen to this.
I don't care about polls. What I care about, the fact is that no one is telling the American people the truth. The truth is that Biden didn't do this to us. Our Republicans did this to us, too. When they passed that $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill, they left us with 90 million people on Medicaid, 42 million people on food stamps. No one has told you how to fix it. I'll tell you how to fix it. They need to stop the spending. They need to stop the borrowing. They need to eliminate the earmarks that the Republicans brought back in. And they need to make sure they understand these are taxpayer dollars. It's not their dollars. And while they're all saying this, you have Ron DeSantis, you've got Tim Scott, you've got Mike Pence. They all voted to raise the debt. And Donald Trump added $8 trillion to our debt. And our kids are never going to forgive us for this. And so at the end of the day, you look at the 2024 budget, Republicans asked for $7.4 billion in earmarks. Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. So you tell me who are the big spenders. I think it's time for an accountant in the White House.
Vice President.
Amen. To me, that was Nikki Haley's defining moment in her political career. Because instead of attacking one side of the aisle and not being honest or truthful, which so many in politics do today, by the way, Nikki Haley decided to be honest and call out her own. And in that moment, I said to myself, wow, I have a tremendous amount of respect for her, that on the national stage, in arguably the biggest political moment of her career, she decided to speak facts as opposed to fiction. And she's right. You had every single one of those people on the debate stage blaming Democrats for our national debt. When Donald Trump, and I say this on the show all the time, put us $8 trillion into debt, almost double what Obama's put us into in his second term in office. And then when Republicans want to blame Democrats for the debt ceiling and being fiscally responsible, they requested $7.4 billion. Nikki Haley is absolutely 100% right. And Democrats asked for $2.8 billion. And in that moment, I said to myself, I could maybe see myself voting for Nikki Haley. I'm not saying I would, but maybe. It's a maybe. Compared to before the debate where I said, geez, I don't think I could ever see myself voting for Nikki Haley. After that debate, I said to myself, that's somebody who I could maybe see myself voting for one day. In that moment, she called out the Republicans on the stage, and she called out her party. And that wasn't the only moment. And you hear a lot of people in the crowd booing when anybody on that stage spoke truth to Donald Trump, because it's a cult. The MAGA culture. It is a cult. But here is Nikki Haley, once again, commenting on Republicans and how they cannot win with Donald Trump. Have a listen to this.
I do think that Vice President Pence did the right thing, and I do think that we need to give him credit for that. But what I will also tell you is, look, I mean, when it comes to whether President Trump should serve or not, I trust the American people. Let them vote. Let them decide. But what they will tell you is that it is time for a new generational conservative leader. We have to look at the fact that 3/4 of Americans don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact that Trump is the most disliked politician in America. We can't win a general election that way.
There it is, the MAGA cult booing. Can't spell the word fact. Nikki Haley is 100% correct. People don't want to see Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. I agree. I'm one of them. I don't want to see it either. She's speaking to the majority of the country, which is what Republicans need to start doing, because it's why they keep losing the popular vote in 6 of the last presidential elections. Nikki Haley is not just speaking to Republicans. She's speaking to people like me. She's speaking to everyone. She's right. Donald Trump is the most hated politician in the country. Now, he still has at least 30% of the country on his side, but she's still speaking the truth. And let's talk about Mike Pence for a moment. Everybody on the stage was asked, did Mike Pence do the right thing when he did not make an attempt on a coup to overturn the outcome of the 2020 election? Just about everybody said no. Chris Christie made a really good point. And he said, this isn't, we can't be standoffish on this. I'm paraphrasing here, but he said we have to be honest about this. Mike Pence should be commended for picking the Constitution over Donald Trump. Pretty much everybody on the stage immediately said, yes, Mike Pence did the right thing, except for Ron DeSanctimonious. Ron DeSantis didn't directly answer the question, and he had to be asked by Bret Baier multiple times, and he kind of shoved it aside under the rug. This isn't something to shove under the rug, and again, that's why Ron DeSantis has no chance ever of being the president of the United States. It's like he was non-existent yesterday. He memorized a couple sentences that an 8-year-old could do in class. He memorized a couple sentences. Nothing was from the cuff. And he couldn't even immediately directly answer the question on whether Mike Pence did the right thing or did the wrong thing. Everybody else on stage immediately answered. Immediately. Except for Ron DeSantis. So I wanted to be clear on that. Yes, Mike Pence did do the right thing. And Mike Pence, by the way, did not have a terrible night either. He was very animated when it came to Ramaswamy. I've never seen Mike Pence that animated before. There were people on stage that Ramaswamy pissed off, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. And one of my favorite moments was when Nikki Haley, like her or not, she's a very intelligent woman with a ton of experience, especially on foreign affairs. This is a very, very intelligent woman. I would say the same thing about Hillary Clinton. I'm not a big Hillary Clinton fan, but she does have a lot of experience, and she is very intelligent. Ramaswamy might be a smart guy, but he has no experience when it comes to these types of debates or when it comes to foreign policy. And I want to play you this clip. This is Nikki Haley just slamming Ramaswamy. Have a listen to this.
If once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a American country.
First of all, Mr. Ramaswamy, you have 30 seconds. Mr. DeSantis, Governor
Nikki,
DeSantis,
I wish you well in your future career on the boards of Lockheed and Raytheon.
I'm not
but
on the
fact of the matter,
and Raytheon. And
Boeing came off of it, but you've been pushing this lie. You've been pushing this lie all week,
Nikki. You want
Nikki.
to go and defund Israel? You want to
Okay,
give
let me
Taiwan
address
to
that.
China?
I'm glad you brought that up.
Go and give
I'm going to
Ukraine
address each of those right now. This is the false lies of a professional politician.
There you have
Under
it.
your watch,
So
you
the
will
reality
make
is,
America less safe. You have no
Let me-
foreign policy experience, and it shows.
and you know what?
It shows.
Policy experience that you all have shows in the political wars we've gotten into. I have to address that. So our relationship with Israel will never be stronger than by the end of my first term. But it's not a quiet relationship. It is a
Okay, well, there is Nikki Haley destroying Ramaswamy in real time. She's 100% right. Ramaswamy has no idea what he's talking about. And on a day where Vladimir Putin, no doubt, murdered 10 people on that plane, there's no question that plane was shot down, Vivek Ramaswamy is now saying that he would actually give Vladimir Putin some land in Ukraine. You're going to reward an evil, murderous dictator. And I find that to be horrible and repugnant, disgusting. And Nikki Haley is 100% correct. This man doesn't have any foreign policy experience. He has no idea what he's talking about. He does want to defund Israel. He's the only person on that stage that didn't want to send more funds to Ukraine, the only person that raised his hand. And I commend everybody else for saying the right things and going after Vladimir Putin. And Nikki Haley was right. Mike Pence was right. I can't believe I'm saying that, in calling out Vladimir Putin. This is really important stuff. When there are always going to be evil, murderous dictators in the world, it's important that our politicians call them out for that. Nikki Haley did that, and I was proud of her for doing that. And I think another important note on Nikki Haley is when they talked about abortion. Listen, 6 out of 10 Americans, Republican or Democrat, believe in the women's right to choose, right? Doesn't mean that we're jumping on trampolines every single time a woman has an abortion. It's a very difficult, sad decision that you have to make in your life. And I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. Nikki Haley calls herself pro-life. I don't like the term pro-life. I like the term anti-abortion, not pro-life, because I could go to Republicans and say they have a lot of policies that are not pro-life. You know, against a lot of government programs that help the poor, or maternity leave, or things of that nature. But here's what I respected about Nikki Haley in that answer. She was very pragmatic, and she was being honest with the American people. When Mike Pence said that if he's president, he basically said that he would ban abortion throughout the country. And Nikki Haley said, well, number one, you wouldn't have the authority to do that, basically. And number two, we wouldn't have the votes in the Senate. You wouldn't be able to pass that bill. So we need to be honest with the American people, and let's be reasonable. And then she set out some things that I agree with. Number one, for example, she said, you know, I think most Americans disagree with the late-term abortion. Let's put some laws in place throughout the country. Wouldn't have a problem with that at all. But then on the other side of the coin, she said we shouldn't be prosecuting women for having abortions either. I agree with both statements. Those are fair positions. Even if you call yourself a pro-life, I think that is a fair position. And I agree with her. And I commended her. But Mike Pence took the extremist view, and the reason why Republicans didn't have a good 2022 midterms is because of the stuff that Mike Pence said about abortion. Nikki Haley feels the same way Mike Pence feels about abortion, but the difference is Nikki Haley is a smarter politician, and she was more rational with the American people. Mike, we're not going to be able to pass this, so here's what we need to do. We need to reason with the American people that want to give the women the right to choose. And here's what I propose. And I agree with what she said. And that's why she destroyed it last night and she won the debate last night. Because she was fair with the American people and she was honest. You know, somebody else who I think was pretty honest last night, who I would say was number 2 in the pack, was Chris Christie. Because he spoke truth and he was honest. Here's a clip of Chris Christie in speaking about Donald Trump, and listen to the crowd's response, because I'll get to that afterwards. But here's Chris Christie speaking honestly about Donald Trump and his behavior.
Look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay? Now, And now, whether or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States. And you know, this is the great thing about this country. Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change the truth.
Chris Christie's 100% correct. It's so funny when you hear these people booing. And what he said was so on point. Even if you disagree with all the charges that have been filed when it comes to Donald Trump, his behavior is beneath the presidency. I think any reasonable person, even if you're a Trump supporter, you'd say to yourself, yeah, his behavior probably is beneath the presidency. And they start booing. That is a cult. There were people in that crowd that are a part of a cult. And Brett Baier had to turn around a couple times and stare down the crowd and basically say, knock it off. It's disgusting. Why would you boo somebody that says something that is absolutely factually accurate? Attacking women on looks is beneath the presidency. Calling people names is beneath the presidency. Attacking the DOJ, attacking the FBI, attacking judges, attacking Gold Star families, attacking someone because they're Mexican descent is beneath the presidency. Chris Christie is right. His behavior is beneath the presidency, and it should not be normalized. People like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert and Matt Gaetz, this type of behavior should not be normalized. It's beneath office. If you're a mayor or a city councilman or woman, it's against the office, especially when you're the president of the United States. I couldn't agree with Chris Christie more. MAGA cult, they don't want to hear that sort of stuff. They don't want to hear it. And to me, this was one of the strongest moments of the entire debate was when Chris Christie started talking about Ukraine. And I've talked about exactly what Chris Christie talked about. And the fact of the matter is that Vladimir Putin invaded a country. Vladimir Putin is responsible for so many innocent people dying. And while all this is going on in Ukraine, there are some Republicans, not all, like the Ramaswamis of the world, there are some Republicans that not only don't want to support Ukraine, but call certain people in Ukraine like Zelensky Nazis. And it almost appears that some are rooting for Vladimir Putin to win. And I thought this was one of the most poignant and emotional moments in the entire debate. And this is the moment where Chris Christie speaks truth about Vladimir Putin. Have a listen to this.
Yeah. Look, I did go to Ukraine, and I went to Ukraine because I wanted to see for myself what Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people. And let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. And if every one of them was filled, there would still be 2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been abducted, stolen, ripped from their mothers and fathers, and brought back to Russia to be programmed to fight their own families. They have gouged out people's eyes, cut off their ears, and shot people in the back of the head, men, and then gone into those homes and raped the daughters and the wives who were left as widows and orphans. This is the Vladimir Putin. This is the Vladimir Putin who Donald Trump called brilliant and a genius. If we don't stand up against this type of autocratic killing in the world, we will be next.
Hold on. Hit the break.
Question
You were
for
mentioned.
Governor Haley.
Okay, so first of all, that goes to show you some of the people that were in the crowd. I think this is a very important point I want to make here. You have Chris Christie, like him or not, speaking truth to what is going on in Ukraine. And he's right. People are being killed, shot in the back of the head, while wives and daughters and children are being raped. That's just a matter of fact. And while Chris Christie is calling out Vladimir Putin for being the evil, murderous dictator that he is, people in the crowd were booing Chris Christie. When Hillary Clinton used the term deplorables, that's who she was referring to. Not Republicans in general. There are very, very good, nice people that happen to be Republican. Many of them are friends of mine. We might disagree on some policies, but they're good people. Hillary Clinton and some Democrats used the word deplorables. Speaking of the people in the crowd, and some of the people in the crowd in Wisconsin last night, that when anybody said anything negative about Vladimir Putin, the crowd booed. Those are deplorables. Anybody in the crowd that spoke, anybody on the stage who spoke truth about Donald Trump. For example, when Chris Christie said his behavior is beneath the presidency and people booed. Those people are what I would call deplorables. And Hillary Clinton was right. In closing, and coming up next, the former Republican chair of the great state of Nevada, Amy Tarkanian, is going to be joining us to give her thoughts. Nikki Haley was able to call out Republicans. Even though I disagree with her on abortion, I thought she was fair. Nikki Haley won the debate last night, and she elevated herself 5 steps as far as I'm concerned. Chris Christie and Haley both had a pretty good debate. And I liked it when they praised Mike Pence for doing the right thing. Ron DeSantis was non-existent. He memorized a couple sentences like a second grader could do. No debating skills at all. Ron DeSantis proved once again he has no chance of ever being the president of the United States. Ramaswamy showed his inexperience, and his cockiness got the best of him, and the people on the stage didn't like it very much. Every GOP candidate except for Christie and Hutchinson raised their hands that they would support Trump as the nominee. Everybody on stage, if Trump was the nominee, which is incredible to me. I mean, Ramaswamy said he wanted to raise the voting age to 25. A 9/11 truther seems to support Putin, so I don't think anybody can take his candidacy seriously anymore. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the former Nevada GOP chair, Amy Tarkanian, is going to be sharing her thoughts on the winners and losers from last night. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Hey, Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. Fantasy football draft is upon us. And in Las Vegas, your number one draft party destination is Sapphire. Don't miss their sexy sports podcaster and Instagram vixen, Lisa Ann, kicking off the fantasy football draft party poolside at Sapphire Day Club, complete with dozens of topless entertainers and cocktail servers, bartenders, free Wi-Fi, and, of course, fantasy draft boards to stake your top picks. Draft poolside or inside Sapphire Las Vegas. Packages are available now online at SapphireLasVegas.com and SapphireDayClub.com. Text or call 702-869-0003 to reserve your draft party today. Again, that number, 702-869-0003. And I'll see you at Sapphire.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well. so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call. 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site X-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday, a very busy Thursday with Donald Trump turning himself in, expected to around 4:30 today. And we'll be keeping an eye out for that. And, of course, the Republican debate last night. I want to tell you guys about my favorite gaming bar in town, which is, of course, Jackson's Bar and Grill, located at Flamingo and Jones. Great food, great atmosphere, great gaming, great promotions, and a great staff. Jackson's Bar and Grill, tell them I sent you. Brian from Pushing the Limits. All right, so right now on the show, I wanted to get the perspective from the former Nevada chair, GOP chairwoman. Of course, I'm Amy, who joins us right now on the show. Amy, I appreciate you taking the time as always. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you coming on as always. All right, first big question. Your overall thoughts on what took place last night on the debate stage.
Sorry, I just shook my laptop a little bit, turning you up.
Okay.
There's no earthquake. We're all good. Well, last night I thought was it was interesting. And the reason I say that is we had high hopes, or when I say we, the Republican Party had high hopes for Governor Ron DeSantis to just nail it. And it was the opposite. I thought he had decent moments, but there were times that you actually forgot he was on the stage, and he was quiet. He actually looked a little bit nervous, I thought, and wasn't quite as comfortable as some of the others on the stage, which, that doesn't mean he's going to be a terrible president if he were president. But in a day and age where you do obviously have television and social media, perception does help, and the way that you present yourself. So I thought that was interesting. There were a number of people who I saw on social media that thought Vivek Ramaswamy did a good job. And I found him to be extremely obnoxious, immature, and not as prepared as some may think. And he's a very good speaker, but he does talk out of two sides of his face at times. And so if you're somebody who doesn't really pay attention to some of the details like you and I do, they could be very easily manipulated. And that's a scary thought. And I thought it was excellent of both Vice President Pence and Nikki Haley to call him out on his inexperience. I think that it was good Trump wasn't there for a couple of reasons. One, he's his own worst enemy, and he probably would have done more damage to himself. And he's so far ahead that really there is no reason for him to go on that stage and sit there and take all the darts and arrows. He's right about that. But I also thought it gave the other 8 candidates an opportunity to shine for people like myself who are looking for an option. So I thought overall it was a decent evening. Was it the best debate we've ever seen? No, not at all. In fact, the moderators were getting quite frustrated, especially with Vice President Pence and Vivek Ramaswamy over talking them and others.
What does it say about the people in the crowd? And again, not every single person that was in the crowd, but every single time 2 things happened, they seemed to boo a lot. When anybody spoke any truth about Donald Trump, could have been Nikki Haley, could have been Chris Christie, the crowd boos, many of them, not all of them. Yeah. And then when calling out Vladimir Putin and speaking the truth and saying like the earth is round, not flat, calling Vladimir Putin an evil, murderous dictator is exactly what he is. And I was so happy to hear not everybody, but so many on that stage call him that. And people in the crowd start booing. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you booing about? And then when Chris Christie talks about how women are being raped and children are being raped and all these innocent people that are dying, which I thought was a very, very important moment in that debate. And I thought that was an important moment for Chris Christie speaking the truth about Vladimir Putin. People start booing, Amy. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it was very disappointing. And I did see on X someone's post, and I believe it was Glenn Greenwald, who many on the right would recognize the name because he used to go on Tucker Carlson a lot when he was with Fox. But he had a seat right behind Marjorie Taylor Greene and took a picture of her while she was at the debate, and she was watching the Tucker Carlson interview with President Trump at the same time. And as we already know, when President Biden had his State of the Union, Marjorie Taylor Greene took it upon herself to also interrupt and yell and become obnoxious. And so are you surprised? I mean, if you had somebody like that in the audience, I guarantee you she probably was one of those who was booing. And it's very unfortunate. And I think it's embarrassing because you don't have to agree with everything that the candidates say. That's the whole point of a debate, is to find out who do you align with the most? Who do you think is going to do the best job possible for our entire nation? You don't have to agree with everything, but you also don't need to be disrespectful.
Couldn't agree with you more. Former Nevada GOP chairwoman Amy Tarkanian joining us. So to me, again, there were some important moments. I'm going to talk about Nikki Haley for a second here. And to me, this is the reason why Republicans have lost 6 of the last 7 presidential elections, a popular vote. And what Nikki Haley did should be a lesson to all Republicans. Let me explain. Let's talk about abortion. Now, I know you and I, Amy, you're pro-lifer. I know you and I disagree on the abortion issue as a whole. However, I think what Nikki Haley did yesterday will help Republicans on this issue, and she was fair. Why? Well, on one side of the aisle, she says, okay, I think most of us agree late-term abortion, we should be done with that. I think most Americans agree with that. I agree with that. But then on the other side of it, she said, we can't talk about prosecuting women for having abortions either. She was fair. She was reasonable. And then she looked at Mike Pence, who was not reasonable on this issue. He seems to think if he becomes the next president, which he won't, that he just wants to ban abortion altogether, which could never happen. And then Nikki Haley, in paraphrasing here, basically said, there's no way we're going to be able to make that happen. Even though we agree on this issue, we need to be honest with the American people. Nikki Haley was honest with the American people, and she was reasonable. And Republicans should take that out of the playbook and say, we need to start talking like Nikki Haley on these issues and stop being so far to the right.
100%. And she was perfect with her answer in its entirety. She also mentioned how Republicans need to focus on adoption, how they also should focus on contraception, And those are two very important areas to the abortion conversation that tend to get left out on the Republican side. And you'll hear more Republicans that actually spew talking points and wishful thinking, like Mike Pence, unfortunately. And what they're doing is they're hoping that the voter is incompetent and doesn't understand really what it takes to change some of these laws. And so, I mean, even here in the state of Nevada, we had to vote not once, but twice. We took it to the people. And that's how we have now the laws on the books where it states that you can have an abortion up to 24 weeks. It has nothing to do with who your senator is, who your governor is. When you hear those political ads being played and they're scaring women, saying that, you know, X candidate is going to take away your reproductive rights in the state of Nevada, it's simply untrue. Right. And so, you know, and that's what Mike Pence is doing. He's scaring voters, thinking that once he's in, or he's scaring pro-choice voters, but he's basically preaching to pro-lifers and saying, you know, once I'm there, we're going to make everything, you know, rainbows and butterflies. And that's just not the case. And Nikki Haley laid it out so beautifully.
Yeah, she did. And I just think when Mike Pence, listen, if people want to be religious people and people of faith, I have no problem with that at all, as long as you don't treat others differently. But I feel like whenever Mike Pence talks about God and he quotes the Bible, it's always very uncomfortable. At least that's my
right.
He's an uncomfortable guy.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I've met him a couple of times, and you know, he's nice enough, but I'm definitely not a fan. And I kind of feel like if you're somebody who's going to be preaching at me all the time, it's a little disingenuous. And, you know, it's really not his place to be preaching at any voter, really. And he's more than welcome to be thrilled to attend church on a regular basis and for he and his wife to pray daily. That's fantastic. But that's what you do at home. Don't tell me what to do.
Couldn't agree with you more. I was also happy that Brett Baer and Fox News asked what I consider to be a very important question. It's basically the same as asking, do you think Donald Trump won the 2020 election? When Brett Baer asked every candidate, or at least he tried to, did Mike Pence do the right thing on January 6th? And I was very happy to see that just about every candidate immediately said no. And I thought Chris Christie's answer was so spot on and perfect. The only person on the stage that struggled to answer the question after being asked multiple times was Ron DeSantis. And again, I thought he looked like a complete clown. The answer should be, yes, Mike Pence did the right thing. Now let's talk about some other issues. Fine, no problem. But he didn't even answer the question, and he had to be asked multiple times. And then Chris Christie says, no, we can't sweep this under the rug. Mike Pence should be commended for picking the Constitution over Donald Trump. Ron DeSantis just doesn't resonate with people. He just doesn't.
Well, you can tell he has a tough time when it comes to veering off of what he's rehearsed.
Right.
And not to say, you know, that his rehearsed answers are bad. There are plenty of people who agree with his policy stances. But when it's time to improvise or time to actually have a gut reaction, he does struggle a bit. And I think that's going to be, you know, one of his downfall areas. He's just not a natural at it. And once again, it doesn't mean he wouldn't be a bad president or wouldn't make terrible or fabulous decisions because of that behavior. Not everyone is comfortable behind the camera or in front of the camera. Sorry, in front of the camera. But but I think when you're up against people who are extremely comfortable in front of the camera, number one, but also extremely comfortable and confident with their responses that are not rehearsed, that also shows, you know, that there's maybe a little bit of a disingenuous situation taking place in somebody like Governor Ron DeSantis, because Chris Christie, I thought, did a fantastic job. Is he going to be able to win a Republican primary? Most likely not. But you know what? You could tell he believed in what he said, and he was very genuine about it. So I appreciated that about Chris Christie.
Yes, I do as well. But I have to be honest with you, and this is where maybe we'll agree, maybe we'll disagree, but why I would struggle to vote for anybody on that stage except for maybe a Chris Christie, because they were asked if it is Donald Trump that is the nominee on the right, even if he is a convicted felon,
Yeah.
would you still support him? And if he further demonstrates, and people would further demonstrate, to me, it further demonstrates enabling Trump's criminality than upholding the Constitution. And everybody on that stage said that they would still support Donald Trump, except for Chris Christie and Hutchinson. Hutchinson has no chance. That's why I would vote for Chris Christie. And Nikki Haley didn't put her hand up. And I believe she didn't put her hand up because she wants to be Donald Trump's VP. I believe that's why. And I think
that would never happen.
Well, maybe it would never happen, but I think she knows that it would hurt her politically if she raised her hand. And that is my problem with the Republican Party. If so many people in the party would just do what you don't even have to be as aggressive as Chris Christie. Just say, listen, if Donald Trump's the nominee, I'm not going to support him. I'm not saying I would support a Democrat. I'm not saying I would support Joe Biden. I'm just not going to support Donald Trump. That is my criticism, where so many in the party would say, I'd rather vote for a convicted felon and pick him over the Constitution. And that's my biggest frustration.
Yeah, no, I was shocked and actually pretty disappointed with the answers to that question. Now, however, Nikki did kind of pivot back and give a better answer, and saying that she was just going to leave it up to the people to make up that decision. So she kind of backpedaled a little bit, and I think saved herself somewhat. But you're right, towing the line in that scenario, I thought, there's no towing the line.
Right.
And if you're somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy, who actually said that he believed Donald Trump was the best president in the 21st century, and then said that he was the only one who also said that he would pardon Donald Trump. Well, then why are you running? If you think this man is the best thing since sliced bread, get off that stage then, because you're taking up space.
I agree with you, Amy. And Ramaswamy is a guy that wants to raise the voting age to 25, which is absurd. He's a 9/11 truther. He clearly supports Vladimir Putin. He wants to abolish the Department of Education, wants to pardon Donald Trump, as you just mentioned.
He's a nightmare.
I agree. He's in over his head. And I think it's pretty fair. And you tell me if you disagree or not, but it's pretty fair when Christie called him out, when he said just a skinny guy with a weird last name. Those are the exact words that Barack Obama used. He stole that, in my personal opinion. And did you think that people weren't going to spot that?
Right. Immediately. Immediately people took to X and put a side by side of him, basically word for word saying what Obama had said during one of his speeches. And so when Chris Christie actually called him, Chat GPT, I thought that was hilarious. And I thought, oh my goodness, he's spot on. That's exactly what Vivek is. He's Chat GPT.
I would say Barack Obama, certainly when he first got into office and way before that, was more polished, more fair. And I know that a lot of Republicans don't like Barack Obama, but I just think comparing the two, to me, I don't like it at all.
Night and day. Vivek actually, and there was a lot of comments too, and they were all similar, whether, they were saying he needs to lay off the caffeine or he needs to stop taking Adderall. I mean, whatever your choice was, he was completely wound up. It was obnoxious. And I thought it was a turn off for sure.
I agree 100%. And I think everybody on that stage, except for Vivek, would agree as well. They did not like what he was doing. All right. So I think we agree, that Chris Christie had a pretty good night. For the most part, he was on the side of truth and facts. Same thing with, for the most part, with Nikki Haley. Even though I don't agree with her on some policies, I appreciated the fact, especially when she called out Republicans, that was not politically convenient for her. But I tell you what, you need more of that from Republicans. Somebody like me, when I hear somebody call out their own party, I say, wow, I could see myself voting for that person. And when Nikki Haley, when they were talking about the deficit, right, and they were talking about all the money that's spent in Washington, right, all the people on the stage, including Chris Christie, were blaming Joe Biden and his administration. And then Nikki Haley all of a sudden gave them a truth bomb that, and I know that Mike Pence didn't like this very much, but it's truth. Donald Trump, $8 trillion when he was in office, put us into debt. And when it gets to the voting table and Democrats and Republicans come up with their proposals, $7.4 billion was the proposal from the right, $2.8 billion was the proposal from the left. How can anybody up there with a straight face blame Democrats for this? And Nikki Haley was the only person on the stage who spoke truth about this.
That's correct. And it was refreshing, because every single time there's a new administration, the opposite side will use that for talking points. And so this has been going on for decades, where both sides are completely at fault for where we are today. And so for Governor Nikki Haley to actually point out the most recent reason why our deficit has gone up even further, I thought was tremendous on her part. And so, Republicans can't just sit there and say, oh, we're the party with all of the financial answers, because clearly we're not. Well, we are at fault. And I think it's great that you call out balls and strikes, and that you are somebody who's going to be transparent and honest.
The only person who brought up gender ideology, shocker, was Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
He also brought up I know that Chris Christie brought up Hunter Biden. Didn't really have a problem with that, but it's the way that DeSantis brought up Hunter Biden's paintings. It was Ron DeSantis that brought up wokeness more than anybody else. I think Nikki Haley brought it up once. Didn't really have a big problem with that.
Yeah.
But again, it was Ron DeSantis with the talking points on the far right. People, I believe Republicans and Democrats mostly, especially moderate Republicans, are tired of hearing Ron DeSantis talk about gender ideology and drag queens and attacks on the LGBT community and Disney. Most moderate Republicans that I talk to are sick of it. And he was, thankfully, nobody else on stage was really going there. The only person that was going there was Ron DeSantis.
Right. Well, that's because that's one of his signature issues. And so he has to just regurgitate basically what he's already been campaigning on. And so that's why he does so well in those particular areas. But once there's a question thrown at him in another topic, that's where he struggles. So of course he's going to regurgitate that same ideology, because that's what he knows, and that's what he knows the best at this point.
Right.
Is it something I agree on? No, not necessarily. In fact, I saw an article, and I have yet to read it, but it just came through my email, the LGBTQ weekly updates. And it said something along the lines of Florida is now going to fire teachers that are transgender if they use a bathroom that they basically feel is the correct one. So if you're somebody who was born male and now you're female, and you clearly have gone through the change and you use the female restroom, you're going to get fired.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Here's something I don't understand. At CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, whatever shows you were watching post-debate, they'll get these voters, maybe 12 people in a room, Republicans, and they ask them, who do you think won the debate? I don't understand some of these people. What debate were they watching where these people say Ron DeSantis won the debate? What the F are you talking about? It's people saying that Ramaswamy did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
What the F are you talking about? I'm not a Republican, as you know. I'm just coming from a non-biased perspective, and I'm giving Nikki Haley her props. I'm giving Chris Christie his props. And by the way, I'm not giving Haley props because she criticized Trump. I mean, she did say some things that I agree with when it comes to Trump, but I'm giving her credit because she was fair, she was honest, and she was willing to call out her own party. What the hell did Ron DeSantis do that anyone could raise their hand and say, boy, he just knocked it out of the park?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because once again on X, I saw Casey DeSantis, his wife. She says that her husband clearly won the debate, but I don't know about anyone else really that truly feels that. I honestly feel kind of bad for him, because he was expecting to have all of the confrontation be thrown his direction, and he was pretty much ignored, which is a telltale sign that I think the rest of the field really doesn't view him as a threat as he had once anticipated. So, when the barbs started going directly towards Vivek immediately, I mean, Mike Pence came right out of the gate and shot right at Vivek. It was interesting. And that set the whole precedence, I think, for the rest of the debate, where, Ron just kind of, there were a couple times where he would interject quickly, but that was only in the beginning portions. And then he kind of just faded away until.
No, I agree. Do you feel like, I feel like you can tell when somebody has something memorized in their head, a few sentences that maybe one of their advisors gave them. And then when somebody is speaking from the heart off the cuff. I felt like for the most part, Nikki Haley did that the entire debate, except for maybe her closing remarks. And I don't have a problem with that. I thought Chris Christie spoke from the cuff for most of the debate. And I do feel like for most of the debate, Ron DeSantis, it was just memorized robotic stuff. Do you
Yeah,
agree?
and I mean, even the two bookends, God bless them, Aisha Hutchinson and Doug Burgum, they actually, you could tell, were genuine in their answers. The problem is they're old school, and there's probably no path for either one of them, and might as well just drop out. But they seem like nice enough, sharp enough gentlemen. Maybe in the past during Ronald Reagan era, they might have done exceptionally well. But it seems that, this day and age with the Republican Party the way that it is, these two individuals are just not going to cut it.
I agree. But being pragmatic about this, you tell me whether you agree or not. Going into this debate, I didn't think there was anybody on that stage that has a chance to beat Joe Biden or even surpass Donald Trump. After watching the debate last night, the only person on that stage, because listen, the Republicans hate Chris Christie.
Yes.
Because of his aggressiveness going after Trump. I respect him for it. But
yeah,
the only person on that stage that I think actually would have a reasonable chance of defeating Joe Biden, in my opinion, is Nikki Haley. I thought she did a phenomenal job last night. She spoke not only to Republicans, in my opinion, she spoke to people like me. She spoke to independents and even people on the left. I can disagree with somebody, but as long as you're reasonable about it, then I'm okay with that. And I thought she was very reasonable last night, even though I disagree with her on some things. But
sure.
I just think she would destroy Joe Biden. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think anybody else on that stage could beat Joe Biden. And by the way, for the record, I don't want Joe Biden running for office anymore. He's too old. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think Nikki Haley's the only one that could do it.
No, and I actually agree with you on that. I was pleasantly surprised with her presentation last night. And I mean, I'm not shocked, but I had no idea she was going to be the powerhouse that she was last night. And, when you saw her in her time as UN ambassador, she was no shrinking violet either. And so I think that she's somebody who would be a good role model for a lot of young women. And in fact, my daughter, Ava, who this is going to be her very first time voting, she registered to vote the other day. She's attending University of Arizona, and she wasn't sure how she was going to register. And we don't push our kids. We just have open discussions. And we thought for sure, because she thinks a lot like me, that, she's kind of more of a moderate, middle of the road and looks at the person.
Right.
And we weren't sure which way she was going to go. And so there were some Democrats that were on campus and they were registering students. And she actually decided to register as a Republican because of Nikki Haley.
That's interesting.
Yes. And so, even though she knows Nikki has quite an uphill battle because of Donald Trump, unfortunately, in her mind, she can look at herself in the mirror and know that she's casting her vote for a decent, smart individual.
And that's part of why I say what I say as well, because I think Nikki Haley would do a nice job of getting the female vote, even from some people on the left that are not big Joe Biden fans. And quite frankly, there are a lot of people on the left that don't really want Joe Biden to run again.
Right.
And she would get the independent vote as well. But you know what? Republicans are not going to do the right thing. She will not, no chance. They would rather have the front runner be a convicted felon. With that being said, let me ask you on this. What are your thoughts on Donald Trump today being indicted now for the fourth time? He's going to get fingerprinted. He's going to get a mugshot. He's going to get weighed. What are your thoughts on this you-know-what show and all of his co-conspirators and what's going to be taking place within the hour, I guess?
It's so embarrassing. And really, I mean, we're in a lose-lose situation. Like you said, most people, I think, Nikki Haley actually said it herself last night. 3/4 of the country really doesn't want a re-election of President Biden or President Trump. And those are all general election voters. But it's the primary that we're going to struggle with. And so we are most likely going to have a nominee on the Republican side that very well could be running from jail. I mean, we have no current laws on the books saying that he can't otherwise. So this is new territory for everyone to have to deal with. And he's already announced on his Truth Social, he's coming in and he's going to be arrested at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. He's not holding back and on any fundraising. I mean, that's for sure. He sends out his mass email blast constantly asking for more money. And then you've got suckers that sit there and find money from their couch cushions and continue to send it to this individual who's completely grifting off of his his supporters' emotions.
Right.
And it's sad. It's sad to watch, because there are people who I thought were once really intelligent individuals who I've known for a very long time, who continue to repeat his rhetoric and actually have almost become brainwashed to a certain extent, where they too believe that they are a victim, not just President Trump. And I keep repeating his famous line, and it's working for him, is that they're not coming after you, they're coming after me, I'm just in the way.
Yeah.
His followers truly believe that. And it's mind-blowing to me.
It's a cult. As I've said it before, I say it again. It's a cult. And what does it say when guys like Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis are saying, well, wait a second, where's the money? Donald Trump not giving $1 to help any of his co-conspirators. And Donald Trump, because I believe he doesn't want Giuliani to testify against him and cop some sort of plea deal, is now doing some sort of fundraiser and asking others for money to support Rudy Giuliani. Jenna Ellis, who I think is a complete fool, going on social media saying, where's all the MAGA money? Where's all the MAGA money?
She's right, though. I mean, and so at the end of the day, you know, who is Trump? You know, Trump touts loyalty. He's the most disloyal human being on the planet. He will turn on you before you can blink. And now all of these fools who, you know, did anything and everything to stay on his good side up until this point are now left to hang out. You know, they're left to hang out to dry. And so they all have to now focus on themselves. And that's what Donald Trump has been doing this whole time. And he's just been manipulating them. And so now we're at a point where, you know, these people have to watch their backs. They have to watch out for themselves, because if they are convicted, I mean, this RICO case could end up putting them in prison for 20 plus years. You're done. That's the rest of your life.
No question. And these are very strange times that we are in right now. As we speak right now, Donald Trump is making his way to a Georgia courtroom, and he will be fingerprinted. He will get a mugshot, which I'm sure he will campaign off of and make money off of. And those are probably the same kinds of people that were booing last night.
Right. And also too, you mentioned the mugshot, but what's asinine is he even has some of his devoted MAGA base creating fake mugshots of themselves in solidarity. I mean, it's crazy.
Like I said,
what's wrong with these people?
It's a cult. Say what you want about Joe Biden. I don't see malarkey flags on the back of pickup trucks. And I don't, it's a cult. Let's just call it for what it is. And but as a whole, I was pleasantly surprised with Nikki Haley yesterday. I was pleasantly surprised that most people on the stage were on the side of Ukraine, thank goodness. And most people on the stage weren't taking extremist views. And it brought me a little bit of hope for this country. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. People like you give me hope, Amy. I appreciate you always taking the time. Appreciate you always taking the time to come. We need come on. We need more Republicans like you. There's no question about it. Especially, we won't even get into the leadership here in Nevada, but we can talk about that another time. But Amy Tarkanian, always appreciate your time. You always do a great job. And I appreciate you coming on. Say hello to your husband for me, and we'll talk again soon, okay?
And I appreciate you. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Amy. Appreciate that. That's Amy Tarkanian, the former Republican chair of Nevada. Very fair, very honest. I've always had a tremendous amount of respect for her, by the way, and her husband, who's far more to the right these days than she is, but that's okay. All right, now's the time to take phone calls, ladies and gentlemen. If you'd like to be a part of the show, what did you think about the debate last night? Positives, negatives? Give us a call, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, now's the time to call in if you want to be a part of the show. What were your thoughts on the debate last night? Do you agree or disagree with me? I thought Nikki Haley hit it out of the park. I thought she was really, really good. And she might have turned me a little bit. You know, maybe I can see myself voting for her someday. Your thoughts on the debate? Maybe you think Ron DeSantis was great. Maybe you think Donald Trump should have been there. 702-221-7283. Again, that number if you want to be a part of Pushing the Limits, a live radio show here on KSHP. Give us a call, 702-221-7283. Take a break. Be back right after this. It's Pushing the Limits.
Here's to your health, Monday morning at 7 on KSHP, North Las Vegas, AM and FM, 829-6HP, North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
On us. And in Las Vegas, your number one draft party destination is Sapphire. Don't miss their sexy sports podcast and Instagram vixen, Lisa Ann, kicking off the fantasy football draft party poolside at Sapphire Day Club, complete with dozens of topless entertainers and cocktail servers, bartenders, free Wi-Fi, and, of course, fantasy draft boards to stake your top picks. Draft poolside or inside Sapphire Las Vegas. Packages are available now online at sapphirelasvegas.com and sapphiredayclub.com. Text or call 702-869-0003 to reserve your draft party today. Again, that number, 702-869-0003. And I'll see you at Sapphire.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Want to also tell you guys about my very, very good friend Blake Wynn, his grandfather, the former governor of the great state of Nevada. And if you're thinking of buying or selling a home, there's nobody better than Blake over at the Keller Williams Group. Please give him a call and tell him I sent you at 702-540-3311. Again, that number, Blake Williams over at the Keller Williams Group, 702-540-3311. Coming up here in about 10 minutes or so, we'll be joined by 11-year NBA veteran and 20-year coach Paul Mokeski, but I did promise we'd get to some of your phone calls at 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you want to be a part of the program, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's start off with Shay. Shay, what's going on, man?
Not much. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir. Go right ahead.
I got to ask, so what do you think about this debate last night?
Yeah, so I mean, the last hour we've been talking about it. Anything specifically, Shay, that what about the debate? Anything specific you want to ask me?
Well, I got to tell you something. This looked like a vice president trial.
Sure.
That's what it felt like to me last night.
Yeah.
But what felt like also is none of them really attacked Trump. I mean, how are you going to run for president and don't attack the front line?
Well, I would disagree with you with Chris Christie. He's been on the forefronts of attacking Donald Trump, and he certainly did that last night. I think Nikki Haley made some good remarks about Donald Trump, said he was probably the most hated politician in America. But you are right in a sense that if Donald Trump is the nominee, Nikki Haley said she would still support him. So I do agree with you there. And I do agree with what you said about more of a vice president. Listen, let's be honest here. Nobody on that stage is going to defeat Donald Trump. I think there's one person on that stage that can, yeah. Go ahead.
I think people, but you know what? I think all them people up there that was on the stage last night, they created this monster. They created the monster. They drank the Kool-Aid for 5 years, and now you saw when the crowd booed Chris Christie when he was trying to make a remark or something like that.
Yes, sir.
And Donald Trump wasn't even there.
Agreed.
I mean, the man is still the kingmaker of the Republican Party.
Well, they are called.
And I gotta say this. Why don't they all just wait for 2028? I hear you. I would wait for 2028.
Yeah, I hear you, and I agree with what you said. And actually, I talked about that last hour about the people that were booing any single time anybody said anything honest about Donald Trump, or even when Chris Christie was calling out Vladimir Putin, people in the crowd were booing. Those are the MAGA cultists. Those are the Marjorie Taylor Greens out there. So
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I look at, when I look at 2016, Brian, this all could have been avoided. When Trump got elected in 2016, Mitch McConnell, remember, he was the majority leader.
Yep.
Paul Ryan was the Speaker of the House. Mm-hmm. They should have brought Trump in a room behind closed door and said, look, we are not going to take this bigotry, this racist, this hatred, this divisiveness. If any of this happened, you will be impeached and convicted.
Yeah.
They should have went strong on him from the get-go.
I agree, and I also agree with what you said earlier about you reap what you sow, and they coddled Donald Trump. They've brown-nosed him for years, and now they're stuck with him, and there's nothing they can do about it, and guess what? It's their fault. Shay, I agree with you. Great call, my friend. Call back anytime, okay?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Shay is 150% correct. Let's go to Lauren next. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Hi, Lauren. What's up?
Hi, Brian. Yeah, if the debate was okay. The main reason I was calling in to you about was the Ukraine. I'm not really in favor of what's going on as far as our sending funds over there. ABC has reported, and also I sent you a thing on when you had the guy from Occupy Democrats the other day.
Mm-hmm.
The AP did an article that from 2022 to 2023 in January to January, we spent approximately $22 billion to help them with humanitarian, but also we took care of pensions for people that were affected by the war. I'm opposed to that. I don't have a problem with the humanitarian, but I definitely have a problem with pensions because we have people in our own country that are, having problems with their pensions, but we're not getting anything from the government.
The point that many people said on the debate stage yesterday, not just in regards to this, but a lot of other issues, why can't we do both? Why can't we do both? Why can't we help a free and fair country that is our ally and invaded by Vladimir Putin and help that country and then help our own at the same time? Why can't we walk and chew gum at the same time?
Well, I agree with that, but that's not what's being done. I mean, that in the earliest census on homeless people in Nevada, in southern Nevada, 6,500 people on the street.
Mm-hmm.
The laws have changed.
I understand we have a lot of. I understand we have a lot of problems in this country. We can go down the line. I don't know anything about what you're speaking of when in regards to pension, but I will tell you that of everybody on that stage, the one person that doesn't want to help at all and doesn't want to send anything to the Ukraine was Ramaswamy, and he got his clock cleaned yesterday. I think we can agree that. We want them to defend themselves and we want them to conquer Vladimir Putin in Russia, because if they don't, then Vladimir Putin is going to be invading other countries. This will be just the first of many.
Well,
so I think we can do both. I guess that's my point.
Well, I agree with it. We can do both. But my other concern is this. This is going to get us in a war. Okay? I have 3 sons that are draft age. So if we do go on an all-out war between because of this incident and because of the...
Well, wait, hold on a second. You saying this is going to get us into a war because we're helping Ukraine?
This is definitely going to get us into a war.
So,
exactly.
So you're saying if we didn't send artillery...
How do you figure it's not?
Well, you're saying because we didn't send artillery, if we didn't send artillery and help Ukraine, that we wouldn't be in a war, and because we're helping the Ukraine, we're going to get into a war? Is that what you're saying?
There's a strong possibility with the armaments that we have sent over there. And basically what Putin's main concern was, and I served over there in that area. I was actually monitoring the Russians.
No, I understand that,
okay.
But I want to focus on what you just said. See, I think Vladimir Putin needs to be taken out. I don't care whether it's
I agree.
I don't care whether it's us or another European country. Vladimir Putin needs to be taken out the way Saddam Hussein was taken out. We need to find him. I don't know how. When I say we, it could be anybody. I don't care who does it. Vladimir Putin needs to be taken out. And if Vladimir Putin is taken out, while there are still evil people in his regime, I think that would change the map. I think it would change a lot. That's what I think needs to happen here. And I think that's the only thing that we can do to end this, really.
Well, do you have any idea why Putin went into to the Ukraine?
Well, I think it's pretty obvious. It's the same reason why he kills his own people, and it's the same reason why he is the evil, murderous dictator that he is. It's ego, it's power, and money.
Well, no, it's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with if the Ukraine became a NATO ally, that they are directly on the Russian border, and he didn't want a NATO ally being there.
That's a part of it.
That's what he's been pointing out.
I understand.
For decades.
I understand that's a part of it. I don't disagree with you, but that's not the only reason why he did it. For him, it's also about sticking his chest out. Look at what he did with the 10 people that lost their lives. By the way, I'm not crying for them either. Yesterday, anybody who goes on the other side of Vladimir Putin is usually dead, at least if you're in Russia. I got to get to one more caller. I appreciate your call, Lauren. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right. Let's take one more call, then we got to go to break, and then Mo's going to be joining us. Let's go to Edward. Edward, what's going on? Edward, are you there? We lost Edward. Edward, my apologies. We hung up on you by accident. All right. Here's what we are going. By the way, the number to call is 702-221-7283. And again, if you want to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, James Harden was just fined $100,000. Comments he made about Daryl Morey. We're certainly going to get into that. We're going to get into USA basketball. Speaking of being a Patriot, USA men's basketball team playing some good ball. We'll talk to Paul Mokeski about that next. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super hero, that is, because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. Fantasy football draft is upon us. And in Las Vegas, your number one draft party destination is Sapphire. Don't miss their sexy sports podcaster and Instagram vixen, Lisa Ann, kicking off the fantasy football draft party poolside at Sapphire Day Club, complete with dozens of topless entertainers and cocktail servers, bartenders, free Wi-Fi, and, of course, fantasy draft boards to stake your top picks. Draft poolside or inside Sapphire Las Vegas. Packages are available now online at sapphirelasvegas.com and sapphiredayclub.com. Text or call 702-869-0003 to reserve your draft party today. Again, that number, 702-869-0003. And I'll see you at Sapphire.
Buying or selling a home is a huge life event that requires guidance from an expert in the industry and community. My name is Blake Wynn. You may recognize my name as my grandfather was the best governor the state of Nevada has ever had. Growing up in Las Vegas, I've come to know this community intricately. Now, I am raising a family here as well, so I understand all the issues impacting our home and quality of life. As the top realtor for the #1 real estate team at Keller Williams, you can have confidence in my experience, knowledge, and track record. When it comes to buying, selling, or investing in real estate, choose a name you can trust and someone who understands the community you call home. Call Blake Wynn today and experience the difference of a trusted expert. 702-540-3311.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits here. I want to tell you guys about my good friends at the Postal Annex. They have a notary signing agent on site daily, no appointment needed, and they offer a full scale of printing services from shipping labels to documents, business cards, banners, photos, and business signage. They're your passport service headquarters. They offer passport photos, and they can renew your adult passports. If you're traveling in a hurry, they can get those passports to you within 7 days or less. Mailbox rentals with a physical street address, and they also receive your packages from Amazon, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and more. Here's the best part. If you're a Pushing the Limits listener, they have an introductory rate of only $39 for a 3-month service. You can't beat it. Give them a call, 702-873-8005. Check them out at 6130 West Flamingo Road. It's the Postal Annex. Tell them I sent you. Hey everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554. All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us. Quick programming note. The very beautiful and talented and pastor-turned-stripper, yes, always fun, Nicole Mitchell will be joining us tomorrow on the show, and we are going to have a headliner from the Comedy Cellar joining us tomorrow as well in studio, which is going to be, I've always loved talking to these stand-up comics because they're all crazy and they're all funny, and so it's going to be a good time tomorrow. I would imagine the first segment we might be talking a little bit about Donald Trump's weight, which he will be weighed on a scale probably within the next hour or so. A guy joining us right now, he knows a thing or two about being large, but not in a bad way, in a good way. I'm talking about 11-year NBA veteran, 20-year coach, my good friend, Paul Mokeski, joining us right now on the show. Paul, I know you're coming out of knee surgery, my friend. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I got my walker. Staples come out tomorrow, I think. doing my exercises at home. They did a great job, Coronado Surgery Center and all the people there. But no matter how good it comes out, you're going to have pain. You're going to have to fight through it. You're going to have to rehab. So, my wife, Linda, she's been cracking the whip here and getting me out of my chair and doing my exercises and icing it down. So it's going to be nice. You've known me for a while now, to be able to walk and get up out of a chair with no pain or minimal pain. And that was the biggest thing for this. I mean, I asked the doctor what he saw when he opened my knee up. He said, I saw a bunch of mush. It was like one of the worst knees he's ever seen. But
oh my God! Well, I'm glad.
We're on the mend. I get an excuse for watching Little League Baseball, the World Series, which I do too much of. But feeling a lot better. First week was kind of tough, kind of in and out of it. But on the mend, and can't wait to see you guys in the studio probably next week.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Can't wait to see you. And I'm glad you're in less pain. That's great news. How many surgeries would you say you've had in your life because of playing basketball?
Well, I think pretty much all are because of basketball. So 4 foot, 5 knee, that's 9, and a hip, that's 10. So, so we're at 10, and there'll be more. There'll be another hip and another knee down the road. But, wear and tear on this big old body catches up to you.
That's unbelievable, but glad you're feeling better. And people don't realize, just with professional athletes in general, the sacrifice and what you do to your body, for the love of the game. I know that's kind of a cliche, but I just don't think people understand it. They think it's all fun and games and you just show up and play basketball, but all the hard work and how physical you have to be, especially the position that you played your entire life, and the toll it takes on your body, right?
Yeah, you take a pounding, not only, physicality, but also just the act of running and down a basketball court, up and down a basketball court, and jumping and just landing and, over and over and over since I was a kid. I played basketball 2 years in grade school, 4 years in high school, that's 6, 4 years at Kansas, that's 10, 12 years in the NBA, that's 22. And then a year over in France. So 23 years of running up and down and pounding and being physical. Being 7 foot is an advantage when you're playing, is not an advantage afterwards.
Yeah, no question. Well, hopefully, like you said, hopefully we'll see you in studio next week, and glad to see that things worked out well and you're starting to feel better. I think that's awesome. There is so much to get to when it comes.
Hey, Brad, before we get to this, I've been listening to the show and the guy that called in about Ukraine, and I appreciate, he has sons in that area that could be drafted if there's a war. But I don't agree with him on, this is, leading us into war. Because Russia and Putin don't want to be on a border of a NATO country, right? That's what he said, right?
Right.
Well, guess what? When he invades and takes over Ukraine, he will be on a border of a NATO country. That's called Poland. And you have Hungary there and Romania. And if you think this crazy man is going to say, okay, I got Ukraine, I'm good, we're all good now. No. Do you think Hitler did that? No. He wanted more and more and more. So the next stop is invading a Poland country or a NATO country where instead of sending over money, billions of dollars, I know that's a lot, and equipment, jets now and military, we're going to be having to send your sons because we are in NATO and we have pledged to protect NATO countries against communism and invasion. So instead of that money, that $1 billion and all that, we're going to send over these young men and women because we have to, because we're helping a NATO country now. So
no, I agree.
I think this Ukraine situation is a mess, more expensive and lasts longer than we thought. However, it is trying to keep us out of a war. Because if they invade Ukraine and then go the next step to Poland, which they will no matter what you say, I mean, Putin's crazy, right? He just blew up a jet to kill some people that went again. He's going for Poland or whatever's next around there. So I just wanted to get that out. That
I was going to ask you about the debate last night. I could not agree with you more, and I don't think people are looking ahead. They look at the now, and I think it's very frustrating when you got like a Ramaswamy up there on stage, and so many on the far right that are saying we're giving too much aid to Ukraine and we got to stop and we got to take care of our own. First of all, we can do both at the same time. And second of all, you're absolutely right. If Vladimir Putin does take over parts of Ukraine, which I hope he doesn't, then what's going to be next? Is Poland going to be next? And Nikki Haley brought that up. I do respect Nikki Haley and her experience. I don't always agree with her, but we need to be calling this out, and people need to understand it's not only about helping the Ukraine, it's about helping the world. And, in going after an evil, murderous dictator. With that being said, somebody needs to take Vladimir Putin out. Somebody needs to kill Vladimir Putin. That's the only way this is going to totally end. Somebody needs to take this guy out.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I don't know how that hasn't happened yet. And I know all that, he's hard to get to and all the people are so close because guess what? If you even think or do anything, you're going to be killed. I mean, come on. I don't know how that guy could have got on a jet. Okay, everything's great. You're going to send me to wherever. And come on, man, reality check. But there's got to be some way because I believe, I don't know, I'm not a national political, European, person, but I think there's enough people up there around, where Putin is, like just steps below him, that if he wasn't there, they would come to reality and they would listen to people and try to do stuff that's right. So, I don't know how to get it done, but that wouldn't be a bad thing.
I think that's the only way that, are there more evil, murderous people in his regime? Absolutely. But I think the only way to really breathe a sigh of relief, the world, is to take this guy out just like Saddam Hussein was taken out. I feel like we need to treat this the exact same way. And I just can't stand these people out there that continue to, at least in my opinion, speak trash about the good people of Ukraine and call them Nazis, call Zelensky a Nazi, and yet defend Vladimir Putin. And there are people within the Republican Party that continue to do that.
I know he's busy right now, getting fingerprinted, but, Trump called him a genius. Trump had adoration for him because I think Trump wants to be him. And God forbid if Trump gets gets elected, he's not leaving the White House, at least not peacefully. He's going to stay there for the 4 years and then try and be a Putin and a dictator. And it's just going to be disaster. But I mean, to say, he's a genius and we have a perfect letter and a love letter, that's crazy to me.
It is crazy. And he can think like Vladimir Putin, but he can think it behind bars because it's turning out more and more that there's a real possibility that Donald Trump will be going to jail. But we'll have to wait and see how that thing plays. I didn't even ask you about that. Right now, as we're speaking, Donald Trump is going to be fingerprinted. He's going to be put on a scale. That's my favorite part. He's going to.
We should be taking some over under on 400 pounds.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Mo, because guess what? The over under offshore, you can actually bet on Donald Trump's weight today, which is 273.5. What do you take? What do you take?
Over. No question. I mean, how tall is he? He's like 6'4", right? 6'5"?
Yeah, he's up there.
I mean,
so now, go ahead.
I'm not in great shape or anything, and I am taller than him, but I'm 320 pounds easy all day.
What do you think he is? He's like 6'2", maybe?
I think he's 6'2", 6'3". 300 pounds, that's the cheeseburger for him. He's there.
You're right. It probably is a cheeseburger. And yeah, Justin, go ahead. What do you got for us?
Trump is 6'3".
He is.
Yes.
He's 6'3". Do you believe that, Mo? He doesn't seem 6'3" to me.
Well, I think he's 6'3", but he's a power forward center, not a guard. So
yeah, you're probably right about that. We'll have to wait and see how this thing plays out. Okay, so speaking of the world stage that involves basketball, we all know, and we haven't caught up with you in a little bit, but we all know the comments that James Harden's made about Daryl Morey. They've had a volatile relationship. They had it in Houston. They certainly have it here as well. So, or I shouldn't say here, not in Vegas, but in Philadelphia. And then, he goes out there and he goes to China, and he calls Daryl Morey a liar, and he'll never play for him again. The NBA investigates, and they fine him $100,000. What are your thoughts on this story as a whole?
Well, I think number one, it's not smart to call someone a liar and that you'll never play for that organization again if they can actually write you a check for $150 million. So, but I guess Harden's made 2, 3, 400 million, whatever. He's probably set for life. But burn your bridges. I learned not to do a long time ago, especially in the basketball world. But I mean those are listen, I talked to Daryl Morey. We were friends, and now, he hasn't come through with what he's told me he's going to come through with. I don't agree with that. I don't want to play with that team anymore. Okay, good. But to come out and say he's a liar twice, and I'm never going to play for them twice, and he was mad. And in my years of experience, this happens often in the NBA that a player of his magnitude can alter the makeup of your team by making concessions in salary. So what I mean by that is, James Harden could say, okay, listen, I'm going to sign this extension for you for 1 year. I want 3, I want 4, but I'm going to do this so you can go out and sign these other guys, Stevenson or whoever, and bring them in, and then we have a chance. But then after I do that, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you're going to extend me another 2 years, a month after that, whatever it's legally done, and then we're good to go. And I think what happened is, I think Daryl Morey promised that, and I think their owner, who was making the final decisions, Josh Harris, said, "No, we're not going to do that. I'm not willing to pay him that, and he's not all that. And look at the history, and he's played crappy in big games, and." So we're going to sign him to extension. He's going to demand a trade again, like all of them do. So we're not doing that, Daryl. So you can call your guy up and tell him we can't do that. And I think that conversation was had, and I think Harden got pissed off, and this is how we released that. And the fine was, what that did is, that earlier when I said how he should have done it and how he did it, is that lights up the NBA lamp. So they're going to say, ding, 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 wait a minute. There's something here we need to investigate, because those conversations I told you about, like nudge, nudge, wink, wink, those are illegal. And we can't have that. So we're going to investigate this now and see what happened. Mm-hmm. And in the long run, then they ended up fining Harden $100,000, which, is $100,000, right?
Nothing to him.
Yeah, it's like, whatever, I make 33 million, but it does, so they did something, they did an investigation which could go deeper. And that's the other thing I think Harden did. He hurt himself, because now he put the red flag on himself, and now he wants to get out of there. He wants to make more money, but what teams are going to take him now with that red? Hey, if I'm the owner, if I'm Mark Cuban, if I'm the guy in Clipperland, I have billions of dollars, but do I want to get involved in this guy who might someday call me a liar and demand out anyway? I think I might go in a different direction.
Yeah, so would I. And another thing, Mo, and I agree with everything you said, I find it so cowardly that he decides to go after Daryl Morey, and he does it in China, doesn't even do it here. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? You're at some Adidas event in front of a bunch of kids. What kind of example are you setting for them when you call your boss a liar? I just thought it was so classless on his part and so cowardly.
And childish. I think it was the timing that call, I think, happened with his agent. And I think he got pissed off, and he was scheduled to do this camp. I've done camps in China. You go out there and he just let it go. And part of it is I'm covering myself, right? Because if I say this now, there isn't ESPN. There isn't the paper in Philly. None of those guys are here to question me now, right? So if you want to really stand up, you wait, you come back to the States, you have a press conference, and you say whatever you want, and then you take questions from the media. But he didn't do it that way.
No, he didn't. And moving forward, I tend to agree with you, because James Harden's already a guy that has clashed. I mean, I think it's one of the main reasons why Doc Rivers is no longer the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. I believe, James Harden was a big part of that. I'm sure you would agree. And he's already a guy that's been known to not get along with coaches, not always getting along with teammates. Is he a tremendous talent? Absolutely. The guy is an unbelievable scorer. But in my opinion, there's a reason why he hasn't won NBA championships. A part of that is always going to be a little bit of luck. But, here's a guy who was in Vegas during the playoffs last year partying. During the playoffs, he was partying. Well, have you ever heard of anything like that before? Crazy.
Let's say he was in OKC with a great group of young players with KD and Westbrook, and they broke that up. So he went to Houston to run his own show. And then he had Chris Paul. He had a bunch of other superstars with him. Never got it done there. Got his money. And then he gets out there and goes to Brooklyn to try and do the super team, right? With KD and Kyrie and whatever Reed. And, that doesn't go well. So he demands another trade. And he goes to Philly to play with Embiid, who, by the way, was MVP of the league last year. And that doesn't work. And he immediately demands another trade. It's like, you know what, guy? Sometimes it might be you. You're moving around. Sometimes it's you. And I think more teams are wising up. He did lead the league in assists last year, which is phenomenal. But, of course, Philly underachieved. And at some point, you're Philly, if I'm the GM or the owner, I'm going, listen, let's get rid of him. I mean, we got Embiid. We got Maxey, who is the future. Let's put him at the point. We got enough around us. Let's trade him for whatever the hell we can get. A good player, draft picks, and let's move on and just rally around Embiid, who was MVP. Because at the same time, if you're Embiid sitting at home, what are you thinking? This is a cluster. This is a circus.
Yeah.
And do I want to be moved now? And if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, that's the one thing you have to avoid. You need to keep Embiid and get the guys around him for the next 3 years. So let's do it. Is Harden worth more than this guy and these draft picks? Sure. But who cares? Well, let's do it.
I think, let me ask you this question. Realistically speaking, forget about the $100,000 that the NBA fined James Harden. How much money do you think this is going to cost James Harden long term in his career? The statements that he made in China.
Well, I think he's got 1 year left and it's 33 mil, and if he had a year close to what he had last year, which he led the league in assists, that's amazing for me to say that, and that he needs to be traded. I mean, come on, that says something right there. So a team that can pay him, less as his career is going down. I just say, like the Lakers or someone like that fits in maybe with that group. Conservatively, he's going to sign a 3-year deal, worth $100 million.
Yeah.
So $100 million. That if he would have just trade me, get me in a good situation, let's be smooth about it, and they're going to up me for 3 more years, I'll make another $100+ million plus my shoe deal plus whatever. That's $200-300 million in the long run. Let's just do that. Let me go. But he did it. He chose the other way.
I mean, we're talking about an enormous amount of money that I believe he's cost himself. And I think of other guys, like, for different reasons, obviously, but guys like John Morant and others, that they have the whole world in front of them, all more money than God, and they just say stupid things and do stupid things, and they cost themselves, literally, as you mentioned, hundreds of millions of dollars because of nothing else other than their bad judgment and stupidity. And it's unfortunate. I got to ask you this. I've never asked you this question before, Mo. When I think of a speed bump, I think of annoyance. I think of, oh no, I got to slow down. I think of, oh man, there's a speed bump ahead of me. I'm going to ruin my car if I don't. It's annoying. I think we all agree speed bumps are for safety, but they're annoying. And then I just read that one of your nicknames was Speed Bump. So I need you to comment on that.
Well, that's not my nickname, and that's not my favorite nickname. But Eddie Doucette brought that out when I was playing for the Bucks, because I would come off the bench and I got to guard McHale or Parrish or whoever. And the idea was, when I come in the game, I'm not going to shut those guys down, but I'm going to slow them down. So that's where that came from. So
I like it.
Maybe I'm not a defensive stopper, but I'm a defensive slowdown guy. which
it's great.
which let me last 12 years in the NBA, by the way. So
Yeah, quite a long career you had. It's interesting because your stories about, which I love to hear, obviously, your stories of guarding Larry Bird at the Boston Garden and guarding Wilt Chamberlain when you were younger, and some of these players that you've guarded, and even though you didn't have to guard point guards, you know who some of the best guards are in the history of the game. So I wanted to ask you about this. Steph Curry, who's obviously, we know he's a wonderful player, an incredible athlete, and it seems like a really good family man and a good dude, too, by the way. We should point that out. He does a lot for charity and pretty good golfer, too. I'm a big Steph Curry fan. He's just a good guy and a great player. He said himself.
He was raised the right way. His dad is a friend of mine. We're on the same staff in Charlotte. His mom is class. That's a class family, yeah. That surprised me. It really did.
That he came out and he said he's the best guard of all time. That's why we're bringing up Steph Curry.
Did he say that guard or point guard?
That was my question for you. So you were surprised when you heard him say that?
Yeah, but from what I understand, Brian, I think he said I'm the best point guard ever. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what he said. He said I'm the best point guard ever. Correct.
Because that's two totally two different things. He has a better chance of being the best guard ever than point guard ever, because in point guards, you talk about, in my opinion, assists are more important than points and rebounds in the long run. And, people ask me all the time about the GOAT question and all that. And I played against Larry Bird, Magic Johnson for all of my 12 years. I played against Michael Jordan for 8 of my 12 years. Dominique Wilkins, John Stockton, all these guys I played against. And people ask me, who's the toughest cover, who's the best player, and all that. And my answer kind of has been in the past. Listen, Michael Jordan, they're all three, Magic, Bird, and Michael Jordan. All three are the most competitive people you'll ever meet. Michael probably more competitive than any of them, which is hard because Bird and Magic were competitive as hell. But Michael was probably the most competitive, the most athletic, the most dynamic player of all those, right? Larry Bird was maybe the most impactful in the game because not only could he score and shoot, light you up in your face, but he can get 15, 18 rebounds, and he can get 15, 18 rebounds and assists. And hell, he could get 30 points in a game left-handed if he wanted to. So,
and he did do that. He did do that.
So he's maybe the most impactful. But if I had to start a team, putting together a team, when everybody's in their prime, the person I would probably pick as number one is Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, in my opinion, and it's close because I put John Stockton right there, Isaiah Thomas right there, Bob Cousy is right there as the best point guard. But I would pick Magic because he's 6'8", 6'9", can bring the ball down, distribute the ball. Hell, he personally made sure that Kurt Rambis could average 10 points in a game because he passed it to him.
Right.
Come on. And he could rebound and he could score when needed. And he knew, when to get guys off, where to get them, how to score. He had that into me. So, Magic Johnson, in my opinion, you're talking about me picking between Michael Jordan and Bird and Magic. So am I going to pick between Magic and Steph Curry? Yeah. And, I'm looking at, I kind of delve into this a little bit. Magic played for 13 or 14 years. He had a break there because of the AIDS situation. And in his career, he averaged 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 11 assists. His best year was in '88, where he averaged 22 points, 8 rebounds, and 13 assists. Steph Curry averaged in his best 24 points, only 4 rebounds, and 8 assists. Steph Curry has never averaged double-figure assists. John Stockton was 17 points, 3 rebounds, 14 assists. Isaiah Thomas, who people forget about, 21 points, 5 rebounds, and 14 assists in a game. Those are his best years. And they all average about 19, 20, but Magic averages 11 assists for his career, and that sets him apart.
I agree again. And I absolutely put those guys ahead of Steph Curry. I'm surprised because it seems like a lot. Yeah, and LeBron is pretty good at this, at respecting those who played the game, 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. LeBron's pretty good at that. And I feel like, I don't think Steph did it intentionally, but I feel like it was a little bit of disrespect to some of those players that you mentioned. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I do, and it surprised me because I know Steph a little bit. When he was younger at Davidson, when I was in Charlotte, and played golf with those guys, and so that surprised me. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, Brian, doesn't he have a show coming out or is out on Showtime or something called not underappreciated, or it's called something like that.
I'm trying to remember. I do think he has something like that that's out there. Yes.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's not like being
I haven't seen it. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, I haven't either. But it's like in the vein of everyone overlooked me. I was small in college. No one thought I could make it in the pros, and I made it. And look where I am. And nobody thought I could be a point guard, and nobody thought this and this, and I did it. So that is out now on whatever one of those things are.
You have to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe this is that leads right into this. Listen, I'm telling you, I've been overlooked, and I'm the best point guard. And this, like the Blindside guy, right? That's now suing the family and actually, it happens to just be having a book come out. Oh, hello. So I'm wondering if this is why Steph came out at this time and said something like that. Because to me, that's not in his character.
I think, but even if that is true, and by the way, that makes sense what you're saying. Even if that is true, it's, in my opinion, it's still wrong. We're all entitled to our opinions, but when you say something like that, and I'm sure, I don't think he believes it. If that's the case, he did it for money, and I just think it's wrong.
Yeah, and he's made a ton of money. Number one, and I'm trying to look it up what it's called now. I can't find it, but
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, but I think he's more along the lines like you're right. LeBron's done a great job. Listen, I'm now the most points ever in the history. I get triple doubles, and I'm 80 years old, and I'm still one of the best players in the league. But he always has respect for the older generation, and he never says, "Shit, Larry Bird wasn't crap. I'm better than him." And I play the power forward, but he never says that, and I think that's the right to go. And I would think Steph Curry would say, "Listen, people don't see me as it, but I think if you look back, I'm one of the better point guards of all time. Check it out."
Yeah, I think it was kind of a dumb comment.
Underrated.
Well, that's absurd. No, that's
what
absurd.
his thing is called. Yeah, that's what his thing is called. Underrated, I believe.
How could he call himself underrated? He's an all-star every year. Everybody, he gets all the attention. Everybody says he's one of the most prolific scorers, not only today, but in the history of the game. The last person I think about when I think people think he's underrated as a player is Steph Curry. What the hell is he talking about? That's weird.
I think he's talking about his past. I think he's talking about his Davidson days, small college.
But Davidson wasn't anywhere near as it, but the improvement that he made from year 1 in the NBA to year 3 is astronomical. He wasn't that player. He was a great college player, but he wasn't. Nobody thought he would be an NBA All-Star in his days at Davidson, right? I mean, some people didn't even think he'd be an NBA player because he wasn't. The achievements he's made, or I should say, the improvements he's made in his game since then. I don't know. I don't know. I don't agree with that. Anyway, Mo.
And I would put, and I forgot to put his name out here as best point guards ever.
Yep.
And kind of the way he's going, Steve Nash.
Yes.
Steve Nash out of a small club, and he got 2 MVPs and all that. But yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to watch that anyway. It worked for me because now I'm gonna spend money and I'm gonna watch it. Mo, I cannot wait till you're back in studio. Congratulations on the successful surgery. Can't wait to see you back here in studio next week, my friend. Get some rest. Listen to your wife. I know you do, and we will see you soon. And glad to see you're doing good, my friend. Okay.
We'll get some video poker in here next week.
Yes, we're gonna head out to Jackson's one of these days soon. Thanks, Mo. Always appreciate it, my friend.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
Good to see you. It's Paul Mokeski, everybody, coming off of a successful knee surgery. I am very happy to say. Mo is such a great guy. And we're really happy for him that he's doing well. The man has been in a lot of pain from all the years he played in the NBA and how hard he played. And I wish other players in the league would play 10% as hard as Paul Mokeski played in his career. But it's a testament to him and what a great player, hard-working player he was, and had a nice 11-year NBA career. All right, we're going to have some comedians on the show tomorrow. We're going to have some porn stars on the show tomorrow. Yes, we're going to do a little bit of both. And we might even get in a little bit of Donald Trump, speaking of porn stars, and the indictment that's him turning himself in on the indictment, the charges right now as we speak. My thanks also to Amy Tarkanian. I really appreciate her taking the time to call in. We will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a great one, everybody.
Hey, everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 467 East Silverado Ranch Boulevard, just off of Premium Road, half a mile east of South Point Casino, just minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. Come by and grab a slice of pie. Plus, check out our Brooklyn-inspired Italian cuisine. Our sandwiches are super. Hero, that is. Because why be a sub when you can be a hero? Stallone's Italian Eatery is here to serve you phenomenal food, Vegas. Forget about it.
Look, it's impossible for the average person to find a great attorney out there. There's so much misinformation. Now, let me introduce you to former Chief Deputy District Attorney Thomas Moskal. He was Las Vegas's top DUI prosecutor for years. He prosecuted the most high-profile DUI cases in Clark County. No one knows more about DUI law in Nevada. Just Google it. If you get charged with DUI, whether it's a misdemeanor or even more importantly, a felony, you need Thomas Moskal representing you. His relationships with the prosecutors and judges and his knowledge of DUI law to work for you. So give him a call now or text him at 702-848-5555. It's your life and liberty that's at stake. Don't wait. Call now. That number again, 702-848-5555. Hey, everybody, it's Brian Shapiro from Pushing the Limits. I want to tell you guys about Sahara West Urgent Care and Wellness. They're conveniently located on the southwest corner of Sahara and Jones. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., and Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. At Sahara West Urgent Care, they'll take care of all your healthcare needs. They offer routine services such as physicals, STD testing, car accident treatment, and work injuries. You name it, they do it. They have on-site x-ray, EKG, ultrasound, and labs. They treat chronic conditions such as asthma, blood pressure, diabetes, and more. They also offer general wellness exams and treatments such as testosterone enhancement and cancer screening. They're located on Sahara, 6125 West Sahara Avenue. Their number is 702-248-0554. And the best part, they accept most major insurances and affordable cash pay prices, office visits starting at just $95. And I'm also a client, so please give them a call, 702-248-0554.
Steiner, the Nevada Style Pub invites you to play the best tavern, keno, and video poker in Vegas. Promos are how we roll to make the most of your gaming dollars here with us. Come play our proud partner gaming promotion, Fly Aviators Fly, and receive daily free play, bonuses, and more. With a chance to win awesome brand of prizes and big money for all the jackpots each week. It's not only great gaming that Steiner's Pub has, it's the 24 awesome rotating draft beers, Vegas' best appetizers to match. So join us in supporting your Las Vegas Aviators, Golden Knights, Lights, Aces, and the Raiders as we make history in Vegas. Steiner, the Nevada Style Pub at 8410 West Cheyenne, 1750 North Buffalo, and Las Vegas Boulevard at Windmill. Steiner's, I love this place.
Located only 4 miles from downtown Colorado Springs and just 10 miles from Pikes Peak, Hyatt Place Colorado Springs Garden of the Gods offers spacious rooms featuring contemporary decor with stylish furnishings, including divided living and sleeping areas, the Hyatt Grand Bed, state-of-the-art media and work center, a 42-inch flat-panel high-definition television that easily integrates with laptops and other devices, and complimentary breakfast is included in your stay. Hyatt Place Colorado Springs Garden of the Gods at 503 West Garden of the Gods Road. Visit HyattPlace.com.
At the Bagel Cafe, the recipe is simple: good food and generous portions. Family owned and operated since 1996, the Bagel Cafe is a unique restaurant where you can get anything your appetite desires. From a bagel and a smear to piled high corned beef on homemade rye, fresh fruit platters and salads, or creamy New York cheesecake. Check them out at thebagelcafeLV.com. The Bagel Cafe, where there's something delicious for everyone.
Open Road Radio, Monday night at 6 on KSHP North Las Vegas, AM and FM, K2968B North Las Vegas, and KSHP.com.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
Live in the entertainment capital of the world.
Aces with Lovestock, picked up by Gray. She can go coast to coast. There's 3, there's 2. She's going to launch from 3. Chelsea Gray, 4, 3. Unbelievable.
It's the T.C. Martin Show.
Jackie's got it. Ace got numbers 302. To Plum for 3. KP, ring it up. Boom, shaka, waka, boom.
It's time to get your daily prescription from the doctor, T.C. Martin.
To Bay, she's open for 3. She sees it. She's got the bucket. 1, 2, 3 times for Baby.
T.C. Martin.
And you got that right. Money won't change it. Raquana, Baby Williams. Boom, shaka, like a boom! This is the greatest show! The ball is in the air! The Las Vegas Aces have won their very first WNBA championship!
The doctor is now in.
Makes it!
Las Vegas, TC Martin here inside the Wintrust Arena as we get ready for the Aces and the Chicago Sky here tonight. So, yes, we are coming to you live from courtside here in Chicago for the next 2 hours. It is nonstop sports talk, giving you a live show, a live look-in, and getting ready for another big-time game for the Las Vegas Aces. This will be game number 2 of a 4-game East Coast / Midwest City road trip. And the victorious game, the record-setting game, which we'll talk a little bit more about today on the show, from Atlanta on Tuesday, where the Aces won 112-100. And A'ja Wilson not only set a franchise mark of 53 points, but she also tied the mark by Liz Cambage, former member of the Las Vegas Aces, but Liz did not do it when she was part of the Aces. That was prior to when she was with the Dallas Wings. But A'ja Wilson had 53 points on Tuesday night, tying the WNBA record all time in the 27 years of existence. She's got 53. Liz Cambage has 53. And Raquana Williams, member of the Aces as well, has the next high at 51. So what does that tell you about this organization? Even though Raquana Williams and Liz Cambage did not do it as members of the Aces, they both ended up with the Aces right after that. And A'ja Wilson, the face of the franchise, does it with the Aces. So very special night on Tuesday night, and we'll see how that carries over tonight. Got a chance to talk with a lot of the players after the game and then earlier today and getting their thoughts about it. And I thought it was interesting to get their take because they were on the court or they're on the bench, and, you know, they're part of that as well too, for them to witness that. What was that like? And talking to Jackie Young a little bit earlier today, she was just saying, hey, it was amazing as everybody was with A'ja and they were part of the countdown, you know, when she was approaching 41, which would have broken the record that her and Kelsey Plum held at 40. And then after she got the 41, it was like, okay, what's next? Next thing you know, it's 43. Then it's 43, 45, 47. Wait a minute, 50's on the horizon. 50 got there with 51. And then, well, Could 53 or 54 or even more be there. But again, that all happened within the last 2 minutes of the game. Credit Becky Hammond for leaving her in and let her at least tie the WNBA record, because you never know when you're going to come to that moment again as a player or as a coach. Is it going to happen again? And think about this. For those that don't follow the WNBA on a regular basis, remember, it's a 40-minute game. All right, you have 4 10-minute quarters. So that's 8 minutes less than an NBA game. And yes, we've seen Kobe with an 81. Heck, we saw Wilt Chamberlain with 100 way back in the day. But we've seen a few 60-point games. And that's tremendous. But that's in 48 minutes. You put this into perspective. For A'ja Wilson to score 53 points in a 40-minute game, it's unheard of. Whether you like the WNBA, you don't, you've got to respect it. It was the lead topic on SportsCenter and every other national media outlet, as it should be. What A'ja Wilson is doing is phenomenal. She's in her 6th year, number 1 overall pick out of South Carolina, face of this franchise, now literally the face of the WNBA. She already has over 3,500 points that she has scored. Put that in perspective. And she hasn't even completed her 6th season. Over 3,500 points. The youngest to get there. Phenomenal. And for Las Vegas Aces fans, or just Las Vegas sports fans, to go to a game and see her play, it is something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, because she is that good. Not a flash in the pan. She just keeps getting better and better each and every year. And those of us who have seen it from day number 1 when she first signed, you feel kind of proud. You really do. Because as I've said numerous times, if you listen to this show over the years, you hear on the show a lot, she is one of the most humble, down-to-earth people you will ever meet. And it was really cool after Tuesday night's game to be there with her dad, who was so proud, and to celebrate. And if you listen to the broadcast going back to Saturday when we had the home game, I had her mom on. It was her birthday, so I had her on at halftime. And we talked a lot about being A'ja's mom and what it's like with, A'ja growing up. And, when did you first notice that, hey, she might have a shot to play in this league? And she said it wasn't until South Carolina, probably until her junior year. But even though she was the number 1 pick, and granted, great pick by Bill Laimbeer, the first pick ever in the Las Vegas Aces franchise history, kudos. And speaking of that, Jackie Young was the number 1 pick the following year. Kudos to Bill Laimbeer for doing that, because there are a lot of us, including myself, question that pick. Like, you don't want to go Arike Ogunbowale? I mean, she's the big-time scorer. But no, nailed it with A'ja Wilson and Jackie Young. And you put that in there with when the franchise was in San Antonio before they moved to Vegas the year before, 2017, the number 1 overall pick, Kelsey Plum. So you have 3 number 1 picks back-to-back years, 3 years in a row. Pretty special. It's a special team. They're going for a record tonight. They win, they'll get the 30th victory. That's the most in WNBA history. The mark is 29-4. That was a 34 regular season game a few years back, 2014 to be exact. And the Phoenix Mercury have that record of 29 wins. Obviously, it'll be eclipsed. Great chance it'll be eclipsed tonight with the Aces' 30th victory, as they're currently 29-4 right now. So, big-time game, big-time rest of the regular season. And again, big-time performance by A'ja Wilson on Tuesday night. And on any given night, you never know who it could be. It could be A'ja. It could be KP. It could be Chelsea Gray. It could be Jackie Young. And we've seen these moments. So if you're following this team, hey, you know what I'm talking about. If you're not following them yet, please watch this team. Go to games. Watch them on TV. Listen on the radio. Listen to the interviews that I have with them all the time. It's great, and they are great people. Every team at any level, from NFL NBA, Major League Baseball, list kind of goes on and on. Professional soccer, you always have a couple people on a team that it's like, how do they fit in? Or they don't come across, like they want to be involved, whether it's, doing media, not doing media, or just maybe they're not great teammates. And you hear stories usually, from the camps or after they leave, they were nightmares. You don't have that on this team. You don't have it. And if you do have it, then those players are usually gone, they're traded, or they're not re-signed as free agents. But this core group is special, and it's so special that they're going to the White House. Tomorrow we're going to the White House, the team will be celebrated for their 2022 championship last year. We'll meet with the Vice President Kamala Harris, and a very special moment for all of these players, staff, coaches, everybody to go to the White House and go through that. Whatever your political views are, doesn't matter. Throw that out the window. It's a bucket list situation that not every athlete or coach or staff member gets to go through, and you got to cherish that. So it's a busy time. It's a busy road trip. Atlanta on Tuesday, Chicago here tonight, White House tomorrow, Washington Mystics on the road on Saturday, and then Monday, the rematch again with the New York Liberty, and that'll be special as well, too, before the Aces come home for the last homestand pretty much. And then they'll go to Phoenix for their final road game. Then they'll close it out at T-Mobile Arena on the final regular season game, which will be cool for fans to watch an Aces game at T-Mobile Arena. And that will be the regular season. Right now, the Aces are clinging to a 3-game lead for best record in the WNBA, number 1 seed, home court advantage throughout. And Monday's game against the Liberty, who's currently number 2, that's going to play big. So, all right. So plenty of Aces stuff here today. All right. Also want to touch on a very sad note. Got the word yesterday that Terry Funk died. And for those of you that are not wrestling fans, even if you're not wrestling fans, you know who Terry Funk is. You should. Terry Funk was one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. He was 79 years old. He's had dementia for the last several years. This comes on the heels of the Iron Sheik passing away less than 2 months ago. Very sad time. And for me personally, very sad time, because I talked at length when the Sheik passed away, what he meant to me, and Terry Funk was right there. Those were 2 guys that were involved in my promotion going back in the 90s in the NWC, and Las Vegas fans know all about that. So many people have reached out to me in the last 24 hours or so, and talking about those great matches that Terry Funk was in at the Silver Nugget, at the Aladdin. Terry Funk, not only a great wrestler, but a close friend. He was just a phenomenal human being. And I can tell you, just at that point in time, Terry Funk was in his 50s.